Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3-Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. Welcome back to the Reticle Up podcast. I've got Kevin Bearden on this episode. So he's competitive USPSA shooter, kind of shoots everything, limited, carry optics, PCC now, which we'll talk about. And he's also part of the Tallahassee Practical Shooters, which is where I started shooting in general. So Kevin, hi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. How about you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming on. I kind of missed the OG club down there.
Yeah, no kidding. It's I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm like, I think it would be really cool to be on one. So this is going to work out well, hopefully.
I'm so excited. I love it. So yeah, to kick things off, right? How long have you been shooting guns in general?
So basically, I mean, I had a granddad that had a bunch of guns growing up. Now he lived in another state, so I shot guns. It was kind of a get together on Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays, and stuff like that. We always shot guns, but I really didn't get into start shooting a lot until I always hunted and stuff. But once I turned 21, I was able to buy my first handgun. That's when I kind of really got into shooting, on my own.
Yeah. What was the first handgun that you bought?
It was a Smith & Wesson Sigma, and I don't know if you're familiar with those, but it's basically, it looks just like a Glock 19. I mean, it had metal magazines, but it was basically the same size as a Glock 19. And there was a big ordeal with Glock suing them because it was almost a copy of the gun. It was a really good gun, but that was the first handgun I ever bought myself.
That's pretty cool. They just had that thing with like the company that tried to replicate theirs. What they call it? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I just read about it the other day, but I can't remember what it was called.
So they've had a lot of like imitators.
Oh yeah, the block 19. It was the block 19.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, this was like the very first copy, kind of with a hinge trigger and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a good gun.
Yeah. Did you know what you were doing when you went down to buy it, or just kind of winging it?
I did not, believe it or not, and this is no joke. I went to buy a High Point. That's how much I knew about guns at the time. I had gone to it was like a hole in the wall gun store in small town Cairo, Georgia. Mm-hmm. And I'd always looked at a bunch of guns and stuff up there. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going up there. I lived in Georgia at the time and went to buy a gun, and they were at a High Point. And I'm like, so no kid, this is no joke. So I looked over, I saw this one. Luckily it worked out well, knowing what I know now, but it is what it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I remember because I had to go back and get some more cash at the ATM because this gun was like $150, $200 more than the High Point.
A real price.
Yeah, that's right. But I knew nothing about them. I'd always owned rifles and stuff like that. So.
And the people at the gun stores, they don't actually know anything to help you out either.
No, and that's a whole thing we could talk about, going into Bass Pro and Academy and hearing these guys behind the counter. And I never step in. Well, I rarely step in, but sometimes after these people leave the counter, I'll be like, hey, this is what I do. This is how much I shoot. This is try to lead them in the right direction because, and the guys behind the counter, they truly think they do know what they're talking about. That's the scary thing. And
they don't say, I don't know. It's the biggest thing in this industry is it's okay to say, I don't know. But I know someone will, or I'll find out. We digress, right. But I was curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard not to step in. I've done that twice, but yeah, somebody came up to me to try and interrupt when I was trying to figure out if I wanted to get a revolver for teaching the external hammer, right? Or get my carry gun that was there. And this guy, of course, interrupts me talking to my friend to tell me about his old lady carries this gun, right? And I was like, sir, I shoot 100,000 rounds a year and I'm a professional instructor, so thank you. Right. Do you know what purpose I'm buying these for? No, bye.
That's right.
So frustrating, Kevin.
Yeah, it is. But normally I just keep walking and let them be.
I know. No, they'll figure out. So, when did you actually start shooting like competitively?
So my first match was a steel match. It was back in about 2013, I think. And we can get into more about later. But I just happened to come across an ad on Facebook from Talon that
Really?
said they were having a steel match. I'd watched it on Shooting USA and stuff like that on Wednesday nights, but that's really all I'd ever seen about it. So anyway, went out and shot a steel match, and that was in 2013. Then I shot my first USPSA match about, I don't know, a year later.
That's awesome. That was right when I was getting into it at Tallahassee too.
Yep.
Like 2014 in grad school is when I found shooting, which is too late by then, but yeah.
Yeah, way too late for me.
Yeah.
Way
I remember
late.
that was when the 22 ammo was an issue back then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What
I remember this place in Georgia that I used to buy ammo from. They would take up like the 500 round pound or pack bricks, and they were putting them in like medicine canisters, selling them 50 rounds at a time. And I'm like,
oh yeah, it was crazy.
Ridiculous.
It's awful. So okay, you saw the shooting stuff. Did you know anybody at the club when you were going to that match, or were you just going by yourself, like signed up?
Just signed up. That was it wasn't long after Talon, because they used to do the USPSA matches out at TRPC. And I'd read about matches out there, but I'd never been. But this was not long after Talon opened, and I didn't know anybody out there. I just saw it on there, so I made a trip out there, signed up.
Did you meet Parks and the crew and Bob and them then?
Yeah, so Bob came along a lot later, but that was where I met John and Dave.
Yeah.
And Parks. One of my first matches, was with those guys. So that was a good group of guys actually to come across. John was running the matches at the time. Him and his wife were running those matches. So
I miss those days, man. I get to shoot with John actually next month at Georgia State. I cannot wait because it's been years since Tallahassee that I've gotten to shoot with John.
Yep.
He's seen me since my childhood in shooting now.
Yeah. Well, and he doesn't shoot a whole bunch of local matches. Every now and then he comes out, but he still shoots some level 2s and stuff like that. So see him then.
Yeah. So how did the first match go?
I was basically like any new shooter where you go out to the range, you stand there and shoot and stuff like that. But I had worked on some draws and stuff like that, so it wasn't really new to me. The timer was new to me. That's a whole different world, when you get introduced to that. But I had drawn out of the holster some, so it went well. I mean, I wasn't like a real major newbie, but to competition, it was something different. It's addicting the first time.
It is from the start, and that's everybody that I've talked to. Why did you go back after a painful match or your first match? Because it never goes well, and you're like, oh, I'm addicted. We all get it.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. No doubt about it.
Oh man. No so you were running the gun you had bought, the handgun.
No. So I've been through a couple of guns since then. I bought the Smith & Wesson first, and then I think my very first match I shot was with a Glock 23, a 40 caliber.
Steel check.
Yeah. So I didn't, and we'll get into more of the rules and stuff later, but I, like a bunch of people, went out there. I saw steel competition. I went out there and signed. There was no practice score online at that time. We were doing all paper scoring. Yep. So you basically, they had a big dry erase board, and you checked in and you put your name on the dry erase board, and that's who you squatted with. So I didn't know any of the rules, I mean, generalization of I have to fire 5 shots, but other than that, I was a brand newbie.
Don't you think nowadays new shooters should probably read the rule sets?
Yes.
We'll get into that, but that's a big mistake right there off the bat.
Yep, that's right.
And the guys that you shoot with, you didn't know any of them like that you know now, right? That was the introduction.
Yep, that was the first. I mean, there was not a single person out there that I knew.
Wow. And like now you have family in the firearms community.
Yeah. Now those are the guys that I hang out with all the time. I've
never seen one without the other two.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and some of them travel more than I do because they don't have kids at the house. But it's just crazy. New shooters. I've never seen a new shooter come in and not be treated like welcomed. But nobody's ever been like, yeah, what are you doing here? Anything like that, or God, you're terrible. Yeah. And so it's pretty welcoming to have people like that.
Yeah. So for Steel Challenge, or you're going to say the USPSA, what gear did you first get just when you were getting started, and how long did you run that gear?
So I had the Glock 23, and I had a Glock Sport Combat holster. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they're they sell them for the large frame Glocks. It's like one holster that fits every model Glock.
Not the right gun, or not the right holster.
Yeah, it can either go on your right side or left side. It has wings on it, and it just I wish I had one. I know I've probably got one somewhere around here to look it up, but back then I was like, this thing is cool because that's what I carried with and stuff like that too. They had mag pouches that were the same way that would fit on either side of your body,
Okay.
and I had a Phobos, two Phobos, or like a Phobos double, I think.
Those, yep.
Yeah. So the basic starter USPSA steel challenge is what I had, whatever I could piece together.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember John though and Greg at Talon had pulled out the Connex belts for me to use. That
Yep.
was pretty cool. And like Blade Tech double holster for
Yeah.
mag pouches.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So how long did you run that before actually figuring out like what division or what gun you wanted to shoot and really investing into all of that?
So I shot steel with that for a long time, all the way up until I started USPSA. And I remember my first couple matches I shot steel. It was probably Dave or Parks, telling me about USPSA, how it was so much fun, or I needed to come out. Of course, I did the same thing everybody does. I came out the first time to watch it and didn't bring any equipment. You get out there and you're like, damn, I wish I would have brought some guns and stuff because this is awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I didn't know the first single rule about USPSA, but anyway, so I shot my very first USPSA match was actually a classifier match. So
Oh,
I came right into classifier,
that's horrible way to start, I feel like.
yeah, but yeah, on one hand it was, but on the other, you're not doing a whole bunch of running around, which kind of gets a lot of new shooters in trouble,
Yeah.
Because back then all the classifiers were stand and shoot.
Right.
There wasn't any, you might have to move around the barricade and reload or something like that, but that was, reloading those mag pouches that are like tight right against your body, disaster. They're flying out. And the magazines that I had, so I had enough magazines, but I'd gone online and bought like these old used law enforcement trade-in magazines. They'd been beat to crap in back, and they had, they wouldn't stay, they wouldn't come out, and you had to pull them out and stuff like that. But I ran that for probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months until I realized I've got to get something a little better than this.
Yeah. You're right though, that we'll get into the new shooters and moving. But I feel like all classifier matches, I shot the only one in Tallahassee a couple years ago to get the PCC down and limited. They're horrible. You expect like, oh, I'll be here. I don't want to get this high. No, really, you go lower than you ever thought.
Oh yeah. It never works. I mean, back when I was shooting limited, I was the same way. The only bumps I ever got were level 2s.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would blow it on the classifiers, and you're like, well, this is a 6 reload 6. This is nothing to it, But I don't know, something about them just standing there just kind of throws you off to it.
Horrible. And I zeroed a couple there, yeah, or 0.1 it, and like, great.
That's right.
Oh man. So okay, all the way up to now, what gun do you shoot now, and what division?
So I shoot carry optics primarily. I have started to shoot PCC. Every couple months I'll pull out the PCC and shoot it, but I shoot carry optics for the most part. Glock 34. I actually just got a Gen 5.
Nice.
So that's what I've been shooting here the last couple months.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then like starting out, I guess we'll go on in USPSA. Did you hop around different divisions, like see what you like to shoot, or what did you go into?
So I started off in production. I was shooting 40 in production. major off the shelf power factor, major power factor ammo. And like I said, I didn't know any, and we've done this, and we can talk more about us running matches now. Some things that we tried to help the new shooters out with. I didn't really get that. It was just like, I want to shoot production. I knew that division, and a lot of Parks and all of them were shooting that division at the time as well, and so I shot, 40 in major in production for a while.
Okay.
And so then I got a police trade-in from the Kentucky State Patrol, Glock 35. Still not knowing what I was doing yet, but I'm like, I'd read some into it. This is the practical tactical model. I've got to have that. And it was dirt cheap back then. And I remember it was so funny because realistically, those guns for the most part are not shot at. I mean, I work closely with some deputies up in Georgia, and most of those guys shoot less than 200 rounds a year for qualification.
Terrifying.
But this was a SWAT team gun, so it had been shot a bunch. Well, they don't do anything with those guns. When they ship them back, they throw them in a box and they just get sold as is.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I buy this gun, and like the first time out to the range, the trigger won't reset. Well, at the time I didn't know anything about Glocks, nothing. And that's when I started figuring it out. But anyway, so I bought the 35, got some mags, and I bought a Lone Wolf conversion barrel.
Okay.
And I was shooting 9 mil. Now I know conversion barrels are not legal at a level 2 match, but I was shooting them locally at the time. No big deal. And then and ammo was fairly cheap back then. I mean, it was actually really cheap when I started.
Me as a
But
college kid could get into it then,
yeah, that's right. So anyway, when I would go to level 2 matches, I would buy Atlanta Arms 40 minor ammo. They were loading. I don't know if they still load 40 or minor, but they were back then.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any difference. It was 30 cents a round, which was outrageous back then.
And yeah.
But that's what I was shooting, and it was a much better gun to shoot, obviously, than the 23 was.
Hell yeah. Good job, Kevin. So, and then I will point this out. I feel like there's a lot of locals that are just like, it's fine for local. And then they repeat it at a major.
Yeah. And, truthfully, I don't know whether they would have ever known had I done that at a major, but, you spend $180 or something like that in your hotel room, a trip like that, you're not going to take a chance.
No.
So, and there are some things that we let slide, at level 1s, which I'm sure most ranges do.
Yeah.
But especially to welcome new shooters, you don't want to send somebody home the first day because they don't know the rules, the first or second match. But anyway, so jumping around, I shot 40 minor for a while. And then once I got into it, learned more about the rules and stuff like that. And the divisions, I'm like, well, I got a 40 caliber gun. I should be shooting limited. I'm losing. So
yep.
I had bought, I got a CR speed belt.
Yep.
I had bought 3 Safari-Land mag pouches used, which I still use to this day.
You are the most thrifty shooter. We'll get into it ever.
Yes.
Not really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I bought those mag pouches. I bought TTI base pads, which was really hard to buy, and I actually bought those used off somebody as well, which, so I bought those and I started shooting 40. I got the Terran tactical sights. I had the Glock is about as decked out as you could have a Glock, and then started shooting limited. And I shot that for a few years.
Wow, Kevin.
Yeah.
So do you still enjoy, hopping around to different divisions, or are you focusing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna stick with carry optics. Once you go to a dot or any high, I liked limited. It was the reloading was never that much of an issue, but the less you got to do of it, the better it is. I mean, it's just a reality, and so I like shooting 40. And of course, the points helped out a lot in local matches. I started getting better with that,
Yep.
and creeping up towards the top. But once carry optics was announced, I bought a Glock 34. It was not the MOS version.
Okay. Yeah, because this was before they even had that. That was new to me even.
Yeah. So once I had that, I was like the first one at our club to start shooting that. And so I bought the dovetail mount that you mount, it's a plate that slides in. So I bought that, and, the dot is like sitting like this high off the top of like it's got a riser on it. But, the thing about that is you can get used to anything. I mean, it doesn't matter what the gun is. You can get used to shooting it. So I did, and it really worked fine. And I'm like, man, this dot, it's the speed of it just draws you into it. And the same thing, going from production to limited. I mean, when you're shooting production, you got to shoot alphas. You just have to.
Yeah.
And you take somebody like Parks who shoots with us. He's really, really accurate. I was never that accurate, so it benefited me to shoot limited because those Charlies I could make up with my movement. And the same thing with carry optics, it just took it to the next level, and so I used the dot for a while, and it got to where it was like I'd get to a match and the plate would be slid out this far to the right, and I have to bang it back in and put some Loctite on it and stuff so I was like, I've got to do something about this. And I was obviously not going to buy a brand new gun because this gun was still new,
I mean, Kevin, we don't buy new stuff.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy that. So anyway, I send it to Primary Machine. They have like a Valentine's Day deal or something like that to get your. So I buy Burris Fast Fire 3 is what I had on there, and I send it off to get it milled. and it worked out great. That is great. The only thing about getting a gun milled is if you do something like a Burris, you are stuck with that footprint forever.
Yeah.
So that's the case on with that gun. I've been shooting this new one now. I'll keep the other one as a backup, but
Right.
I'd almost like to have another blank slide to use for a production gun if I ever shot that again.
Yeah, that does suck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Milling takes it out. That's why I think the innovations that I see with companies like Walther and HK and all the companies now have the plate. It's just a game changer, and multiple plates, different dot.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing.
Yeah, it's definitely the way to go, because 5 years from now, there's going to be something better. There's always going to be something better. And if you're stuck with that one, I mean, if you do an RMR footprint, they're probably going to have that footprint for a long, long time, but the cooler stuff always comes out, and you got to have the cooler stuff.
For sale though.
Yeah, that's right. On sale.
Used.
That's right.
Oh, and high cap or low cap is for the birds. High cap is where it's at. I'm never shooting low cap ever again in my life.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and then shooting the PCC, I actually I shot a buddy's PCC for a classifier match just to get classified. I don't know, a couple years ago, and
it wasn't Parks that didn't run, correct?
Yeah, it was Parks, but it ran at the time.
Yeah, it doesn't run for me though, of course. In mine,
we can get all into that gun later too, but it's a whole different story.
Damn it, Parks! I remember shooting Parks.
Yeah. So anyway, I just kind of go back and forth from, I hate to say it, but it's a game.
Yeah.
So like when me and Bob went and shot the Pro-Am down in Volusia County, well, I'm an A-class almost master in carry optics, and I'm a B in PCC. I'm taking the PCC down there. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm a better shooter than B in PCC. But the classifiers are so high up in PCC, man. It's crazy.
I know.
Getting up class now, but I'm not far from A now, so.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's the thing that I have found, is that I'm having more fun shooting PCC, my limited minor, just enjoying life.
Yep.
That's one of my questions. Like, what do you recommend people do to like get started, like picking a division?
Most new shooters, if they come out to sign up for our match and it's their first match, we will put them in limited minor.
Nice.
For a couple reasons. They show up, you just say somebody shows up with a Walther, and what's the stock magazine? 17?
Yeah.
15, 17. So, you put them in production, and you take somebody who's never shot a match before. Now they got to reload 4 times during a stage.
Yeah.
You're
going to hate it.
That's right. That's a lot of work. So limited minor is the way to go. I mean, you can get your feet wet doing all that. You can still practice your reloads and stuff like that, but you can focus mostly on shooting, and moving around the stage. To me, that's the easiest way.
Yeah. And get
people started.
Get a gun that locks back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, you get something that runs, and that's the thing, nobody needs to go out and buy a brand new gun, a $5,000 gun starting the match off. You can be competitive, with just about anything, minus a high point probably. But you never know. I mean, these guys, you take Maxim Shell or something, they'll kill us with a high point. There's no doubt.
That's true. Break on a stage and he'll figure it out.
Yeah. But and that's the thing. And that's the thing about the rules is people show up, they have 2 magazines. We deal with this a lot in steel. They'll come to a steel match and they'll have 2 10-round magazines. So they have to have a buddy, and we don't mind loading for them at all because they don't know. But I mean, like Glock mags are so cheap. You can buy the mag pull ones now. They're dirt cheap,
Yeah.
But limited minor is the way to go.
Yeah. And you need the like least amount, but of necessary gear. Just makes it a little bit easier.
That's right.
Yeah. So if you had to pick like one division though for you to stay in, would it be PCC or would it be carry optics?
I'd probably shoot carry optics. I mean, I enjoy shooting the pistol. I mean, the AKB is the bomb. I mean, it's the coolest gun ever. But I enjoy shooting the handgun more, Yeah. So I'll stick with that for a while.
Okay. If you could tell yourself something early on that would lessen like the learning curve or make you more successful to start, what would it have been?
I would dry fire more. I mean, I do pretty much what I do in my spare time is watch shooters. I mean, I study it, videos constantly, watch it. And, I'm not the best at doing dry fire on a regular basis, but it does help.
Yeah,
It does help. Not necessarily to me, if I'm working with a brand new shooter, I would not worry about focusing on the draw. It's not going to win you a match or lose you a match.
no.
Reloads more than likely are not going to win or lose you a match. It's just such a small amount of time. But your transitions and stuff like that, your movement is where you pick up the big time. So that's what I would have worried more about.
Yeah. I like that
for sure.
I like that. Maybe take a class early on too. That's what I probably would have told myself.
Yeah, that I have never taken a class of any kind, mostly due to the money.
Yeah.
I mean, and realistically, you can find guys that put on classes that are fairly good price, what you would pay for a level 2 match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so it's something that beginning shooters, if you have to do it, because those guys can get you so far ahead of the curve. I mean, I've watched thousands and thousands of hours of video to get where I'm at today. That somebody could have probably helped me if I took a Steger class or, Travis Tomasi or something like that. Could have helped me in a couple hours.
Oh, 100%. I've seen you move and shoot. You could be a GM.
Yeah.
I know you can.
So, yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so going back, all right, let's talk about USPSA, because that's mainly kind of what you shoot. What percentage, this is the hard question, of people do you know that shoot USPSA who haven't read the rules?
Oh, easily 90%. I would say outside of the division rules, most people don't read the rules at all. I mean, including myself until I took the RO class. I knew the rules. I knew the scoring rules, the stuff that would get me by in a match. That's what I read. But I can tell you, there's a lot of shooters. There's shooters that, have been shooting with us for a year or longer that still don't know a lot of the rules. They just rely on others there to kind of guide you.
Now, that's the other problem. It's like the blind leading the blind so often, because you've got ROs that say, oh, it's one thing, or, oh, it's this thing. And the PCC is coming to play a lot. Like, it has to be up. No, it says up or down. Like,
yep.
And now that they have the app on my phone, like, I pull up the rule set and I hate that. So people listening, I would love it if everyone read the rules or didn't so much like, Kevin, I believe you, but I'm going to read it for myself. So don't take so much stock into what somebody else says.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that have been shooting for a long time that think they, know some rules that they don't, including myself. I mean, now in a level 1 match, you can basically make it through with no major scoring discrepancies and stuff like that, But I mean, even certified ROs, the RO class is good. It does teach you a lot of stuff, but it doesn't cover 1/3 of all the rules that you need to know. Yeah. Especially if you're going to be a CRO at a level 2 or level 3 or something like that. You have to kind of just sit down and study that stuff.
Yeah. Painful question for you. And I was going to say the other thing people do, they interpret the rules from their own perspective rather than what does the rule say. Shooting, I guess, because I didn't shoot with like the actual main match for USPSA 2-gun. How different were the ROs from stage to stage knowing multi-gun rules?
Well, I didn't know the multi-gun rules other than we sat down and kind of went over the stuff to keep us from having to go home early, like ditching guns and stuff like that. And, the thing about, reholstering a hot gun, I knew that was legal. I wasn't about to do it.
I did.
But I saw a couple people. I saw Todd Jarrett did it on one stage. The one stage I probably would have done it on that I saw Todd Jarrett, and then several other people did it on, but yeah, it seemed the RO seemed to be pretty good for me from what I there wasn't anything that I would have said, no, that's wrong, other than I did shoot through the fence one time. And I can't say that I knew the rule on this either, but maybe you know the rule on this, but I think I nicked the wood on the way. It's just one of these hard leans with my PCC, and that's, I mean, like, and we'll get into stage design and stuff like that too, but, it was a whole bullet hole in the target, but I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue with RO. Yeah. I'm not going to go, it's not the end of the world for me. You make whatever call you make. I'm good with it. I'm not going to let it ruin my match,
Yeah. We're not that level, I guess, of have to have that point or
right.
But no,
that's right.
Abandoning guns and hot reholstering is not something that you see in USPSA. Again, it's me 2-gun USPSA multi-gun. And that's important. Like I had people panic when somebody put their PC on the ground and drew their gun and stayed stationary, that's legal.
Yeah.
Don't freak out.
Yeah, I never saw that happen, but I thought I would because it was several years ago. It was like a big thing. Somebody did it like 3 gun nationals, right? And it's like within 3 yards or something like that,
Yeah.
3 feet.
Yeah,
And
Dissident did that. Lan and Mike both did. That was their game plan. And the junior, I think that one junior, I want to believe, or someone that they brought. I can't remember. Maybe not junior because Justine beat everybody, I think.
right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the rules are different, and there's a big difference in rules again from multi-gun to from USPSA because like holsters are totally different. You don't have to have the retention in 3-gun and all of the stuff that people panic about. So, all right, maybe I'll spitball here. What are some like unique rules in the sport that a lot of shooters maybe don't know that you think are important, like obscure ones or people that don't come up?
Oh, I don't know.
I feel like that was one of them, though, abandoning.
Yeah, that was one definitely. I think that would freak people out. I mean, especially even ROs. If you were to do that, if we had a 2-gun matches locally, if you were, to drop that thing, people would not know what to do. I mean, they would stop you. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And had I not seen it happen before a couple of times, it'd probably freak me out too. But there's nothing really crazy that I can think about. I mean, there's, nothing I can really think off the top of my head that's just, crazy rules.
Yeah. But I mean, if you go to a higher level, thinking about people don't know how to advocate for themselves on overlays or that the target can be pulled or, a lot of that, and arbitration is even a thing. And there's a window of time that you can arbitrate, right? So like there's stuff that you need to know, I guess, at a higher level. I thought it was really interesting too when people would shoot the same target on 2-gun with the same gun. So I was like, that's not a hit on the correct target with the right gun, so it doesn't count. But the bullet holes are the same. So you have to have eyes on.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I think. And I think they had plenty of ROs at the 2-gun match. But that's one thing. You get somebody like Max that's burning through with this PCC and an open gun. You got to have guys watching, girls watching too. I mean, because you get those targets close together. He burns so fast you don't even know what he's shooting at.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I had probably over 100 FTSAs on my stage, and there was some guy I remember that argued or wanted to argue, right? She's like, I shot that, I totally did. And the wife who was videoing, I know it doesn't count, video doesn't count, but the wife goes, no, you didn't. You can watch it later. She made the right call. I was like, I didn't even know her. I was like, oh God.
Yeah. So that's a big one. But I think it was good. That was, that worked out well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like knowing like the penalties as well, like I think production round count matters, making sure you don't have over amount of mags. That was the hardest thing in shooting limited 10 is that it's all steel mags. So you can't see the dots. So you have to unload, reload and unload.
Yeah, that's a pain. That's I do the same thing with the AKV mags. I'm like, you got to unload 30 friggin' rounds out of this thing right now to count them, but, and see the first level 2 match I ever shot, I shot the East Alabama. It was back when the Alabama section was there way back in the day, and I was shooting production, and I didn't know about that you could Barney load the first mag. So, I'm running the slide lock on every array. And I remember I came back, and I wish I could remember this guy's name. He used to be kind of big into shooting. Anyway, he said, how many rounds you put in those mags? And I'm like, 10. He said, well, you can load 11 on the first one. And I was like, what? And so he sat me down and kind of explained it to me, and I'm like, oh man, that's going to change the world for
that
me.
Makes sense. Yeah. And like,
so, yeah.
I was gonna say, how often do you over grip and you don't have the slide lock back? Or me, I have a competition follower, so I go click.
Yeah.
Then you have a whole lot more time on the clock for just reloading.
Yeah, and see, that's another thing, like with new shooters and stuff like that, running the slide lock every magazine, it's just little stuff like that help you go a long way. Yeah. Starting off early. There's just so much though.
It's a lot. And knowing the stages too, I think that was really important. You can't have arrays more than 8 rounds because of major power factor with different divisions. So that sets the tone where, production, you got 10, you will always have enough unless you're missing steel or you're taking a different position. So that stuff is really important to look at, especially even at locals. I know it's not the place really to be harping on it, but if you're setting up stages where there's 14 standing targets, that's not going to be conducive to a revolver or single stack.
Yeah. And then seeing the pieces, you guys will burn through that. They'll kill you, or the open guys, it's just not even a competition.
Right. Yeah. That's what does suck. You want to go fast and win and stuff, but you always know that the gun is going to be, or the division is going to be a little bit of limitation. Not always, but
Yeah, that's right.
for us.
That's right.
So summing that little section up, why is it important for even the newest of shooters to read the rules?
Yeah. Well, first of all, so they can, it's going to help them have a better match. It's going to keep them from having to go home early, so they can help themselves out. If somebody makes a wrong call, even if it's your first match and the rules, you can call them on it. If it's on the line, or tears the perf or something like that, it's good to know all that stuff as much as you can going into the first one, to kind of help yourself out. The more you know, the better.
And even other divisions. So if like you said, buddies rules of whether or not they can have that mag extension, base pad, or all of these things that could save them from a match. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we had a guy show up, real nice guy. I haven't seen him since. Maybe this is why, but he showed up and he had no idea about the scoring. So normally we have a new shooter's brief, where we kind of go over the basics. Don't break the 180. Listen to the stage brief, where you can load your mags, where you can check on your gun, stuff like that. And he didn't know the scoring, so he gets out there on the first stage and he shoots all the brown and all the white targets for 2 rounds. He's burning through it, and I mean, we're not going to yell stop in the middle of it, but afterwards, after you got 97 penalties, that's really not the time, so just the basic rule set, especially scoring, even like when I shot 40, that's not that big deal. I shot 40 in production. That's what I had at the time,
Yeah.
But knowing the scoring will help tremendously.
Yeah. What kills me on perf stuff is not having 2 overlays, guys. So a paster strip and an overlay is not an official thing.
Right.
Or just one, not a thing. Anyways.
Yeah, well, that's there's a lot of interpretation. That's the thing about the rules, is there is a lot of interpretation that is done. And it's always, you get 2 guys that think, the RO is going to end up winning, or the range master is going to end up winning in the end. So it is what it is. It's like popper calibration. If you don't knock the damn thing down, just move on. You know what I mean? Or shoot it twice. You got a much better shot of shooting a popper twice and knocking it down than you having them come up there with because it's going to fall.
Yeah.
It's going to fall just about every time.
Seen a calibration win yet.
Yeah. I haven't either.
Always seen it fall. And at Alabama sectionals, my buddy who shot right before me had 2 of those calls, and the RM was too elderly, I guess, to shoot the gun. Anyways, hit, and he's like, "F you." I was like, "I'm just doing my job. You knew this though."
Yeah, I know. So in lines, I mean, it just depends. They got the rules as good as they can, I think, but there is still some stuff that's kind of it's left up to interpretation. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay,
but that only matters to the people who are going to win the match anyway. Really, I mean, if you're going to be in 20th place as opposed to 19th, it's it matters to you. But
yeah, it depends on if you're trying to win your division or your class or whatever too.
Right.
And for me, it goes back to sometimes, not all the time. I'm an RO, I'm a CRO, all of that. Did RO treat me kindly, or are we going to have the sheriff that wants to, throw a book at me? All right, I'll do the same thing. Let's
that's right.
Time.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Oh no, that's a lot of that. But okay, going into local matches. So when did you actually dive in to start helping out at Tallahassee Practical Group?
So John at the time was running, I mean, he was setting up 4 or 5 stages a month on his own. This was before, because I was like most shooters do. They just get into it. They don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. You show up, you pay your $20, you shoot the match, you get in your truck and go home, and that's what I did for a while, and then you get to where, you start to meet everybody and you're like, well, how come Parks staying after loading that trailer? What's he doing? Let me go over there and help. So anyway, so John's schedule kind of got messed up with his job. And so anyway, we kind of do it as a group now. Like I said, Parks is the email contact person, but we kind of do it as a group. Dave does a lot of stuff.
That's all you are, Parks. You're the email contact.
But So it's been about 3 years since we kind of started doing that,
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
so what do you wish everyone knew or every new shooter knew about running matches or what it takes to run a match?
Yeah, so a lot of people, and we harp on it now. We talk about it every pre-match stage brief about we always thank the stage builders, what it takes to get built, to get that stuff done. But until you come out there, that's the thing. I think people who shoot matches should go up and help set up a match. You don't have to do it every month. I know people got stuff going on, and the same thing happens with us. But a couple times a year, get out and help the match director set up those stages, and then you'll appreciate it more.
Yeah, if you think 12 matches a year and you've got a group of 6, do with only 2. If you break, again, what is it? More hands make less work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. That's the biggest thing is, we have basically the same 6 or 7 people that set up stages every single month. So, and the average age is over 50. So those guys are going to be able to do that forever, and you talk about, there was a match, I think it was, I don't know, about 2 summers ago. It was miserable. We always set up Friday afternoon before, and the ground was so hard, you couldn't even hardly hammer it in. So we're out there for hours hammering these nails into the ground, and then you got to shoot the next day. You know what I mean? So I wish people kind of knew the setting up stuff on the iPad, that's nothing. There's nothing to do that. Building the stages, in the iPad, there's not much to that. But behind the scenes and the registration the day of, that drives me nuts. We put it out in the email. As soon as you get to the match, come to registration. And then you got somebody that comes up when you're 2 minutes before you're going to do the stage roof. We already got the squad. You've deleted them because they haven't showed up yet, and you got to add them all back in. It's crazy.
It's really bad. That's when I feel like we should go back to paper backups and just, you're going to be on paper today and deal with it, or your own iPad. I don't know. It's register beforehand, people.
Yeah.
Tell the match director if you can't come to a match because you might be holding up a squad spot that your buddy wanted.
That's right.
Get there early, please, and don't register a day of. It's so painful.
Yeah, that's right.
Really,
but other than that, just the helping out, the more people you can get to help out, the easier it is on the match director.
Yeah, you guys got a sick setup too, because you've got your own comp base, you've got your own trailer, it's right there. It's not hard.
Yeah, it's worked out. It works out well out there. We've had some conflicts every now and then, but we can, the good thing is they're always good about it. If we need to bump a match because of rain, we get pretty good communication for the most part with those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your favorite part about running or helping local matches there?
Designing stages. And the best thing about designing stages at your local match, and we tell this to people all the time, is when you build your stage, you can build your stage to your strength.
I was gonna say.
So if I'm going to shoot my, if I'm going to shoot my PCC and I put those 6-inch square targets, at 35 yards, my God, you can do that, and we're not going to turn anybody down because we need more help, so you can build it to your strength, but I enjoy sitting at the computer and designing that kind of stuff. I don't enjoy nailing it in the ground so much, but because the thing about that is whatever you put on paper, it's going to look completely different when you get out there on the bay.
Yeah,
for the most part, it's going to look. I build some stages sometimes. I'm like, man, they're going to be running forever, and you get out there and it's like a 7-yard run to shoot the whole stage because But that's the part I enjoy is building that. Building stages.
So do you build them at least enough where they're welcoming to new shooters, but still a challenge to local or the people that shoot a lot, or what? Yeah,
so this is a big thing, and there are a lot of older shooters in a lot of clubs, and that's a whole other thing about getting new people in. But we have a lot of older crowds. So you obviously, you're not wanting to put them shooting from prone, on the first shot of the bay, because you're basically killing their match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a fine line between. There's a fine line between making it competitive, but not making it so competitive, that you're pushing people away because they shoot the no shoot 33 times during a match.
Yeah.
Or they have 20 mics, which is going to happen anyway. It's going to happen, but you don't want it just to be where the top 10 shooters are the only ones that can have a decent match.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I don't know that anyone's really figured that out. Maybe people have for sure, because like the people that are going to major matches, right? They really want the practice to put in for the major match. So they want the unique stage designs, they want the swingers, the poppers, all the things that go to a major match. But then you don't want the newest shooter to be like, that was so hard, brutal. I just wasted a bunch of time, money, and ammo. Like, I'm never coming back. It wasn't fun.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's just a fine line between, you don't want to leave that stuff out completely either, because then the shooters, who've been shooting for a long time, they enjoy that stuff. They enjoy the challenge, or the competitors who are out there to win, you don't want to take all that stuff away. So it's just that you don't want to overload it with either direction.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing that I think that a lot of match, not just directors, match club members here.
Yeah, that's right. And we do overlook the stages. I mean, we get them posted the week of the match, and but I can't think of anything that we've ever really just said, no, let's not do that, other than, round count within the last year because of, ammo and stuff like that.
But you can still make dynamic stuff without the round count, which has been really unique to see, I think, in a lot of shooting communities. It's been fun, almost.
Yeah, I enjoy the 20 to 25 round, 18 to 25 round stage. I like watching the IPSC guys, or watching Eric Graffel. I watch a ton of Eric Graffel stuff.
Yeah.
That dude's ridiculous. But and anyway, I like watch those IPSC guys shoot those short stages, because it's really good stages with 13 shots.
I know.
So it's all, it's you can do it for sure.
Yeah. So what's your least favorite part about running matches?
Dealing with problems that come up, whether it be, the RO situation. So like our squad will fill up in about 9 minutes once registration opens, and the bad thing about it is normally everybody on our squad is an RO. We like to shoot together. We've been
Yeah,
and it's probably the same in a lot of ranges. Everywhere you go, the same group of guys, they took the RO class together. They enjoy shooting together. You kind of get, with your good group of friends, and sometimes Parks will step out and RO. Dave will normally RO and another squad, but that's another thing. And, you don't have to be a certified RO to RO a level 1 match, and right. It's not difficult. And that's the thing, I listened to a podcast with Matt Hopkins, and, sometimes he said, I'll just take the timer and just go and walk up and hand it to somebody.
I've done that a lot. And I've done the tablet a lot because I feel like, and this is maybe just sexist, but a lot of females do the tablet and the males want nothing to do with it. And it's right. really, 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 really frustrating. And I was really saddened, actually. I shot a Dothan match. Me and Andy were on a spot, and there was a spot open, and Drew couldn't shoot with us because he was needed elsewhere to CRO because nobody stepped up. What the heck? And that's the endless summer blast. Every single person should be having a great time at a level 1 ROing and CROing so everyone can have a great time. It's so, I don't know, depressing.
Well, and that's the thing, and it drives me crazy, and I try to be as nice as I can.
Yeah.
And Parks and them may tell you something different, but anyway, you try to be as nice as you can. But if you're out there running the tablet, if me and you are running the tablet and the timer for the entire match, and every time I go to shoot, you pick up the timer, and then when you get done shooting, you pick up the, and you're standing out there and it's 100 degrees, and you're having to stand out in the sun the whole time while they're standing up under their umbrella drinking cold water. It's just, to me, it's fair for everybody. So, I'm not expecting your very first match to come out there and run the timer. Yeah. I understand that, but learn. Learn when you come out there. People will help you, learn the commands, especially with the iPad. That is the easiest thing. All you have to do is listen to somebody. That's it.
Touch.
Yeah. So, I mean, somebody will help you, but that's another thing too, is just, and we've gotten more and more, we finally got an RO class here. So we got more and more people RO certified.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. And yeah, it's super frustrating. So yeah, I'll hand the tablet timer. I know it's not probably the best way to do it, but it's just not right and it's not fair. And yeah, so help out. It goes a long way, especially like when you and I shoot too. Like, I want you to video me, or I want you to video me, because I don't want to ask a stranger and they don't know how to video and they're going to do it from the back, but then you've got the tablet and timer. We can't.
Yeah, I was literally just talking about that. We shot a steel match yesterday, and I said we never get any video of each other, and he's like, we're working the whole time. So yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, everybody do their share, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we probably already touched all of this, but my next question was just kind of like, how could people help this sport grow or really make a difference in their community? How can we get new people out there?
A a lot of people that are friends on my Facebook page that are not shooting related know about shooting now because of me. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
You know, I like to put the shooting videos out there. I video myself because I like to go back and watch it and stuff like that. But I feel like USPSA is such a small community, and it's like we're so enclosed that and I know you're not going to have it more than likely on the local news, and stuff like that. So I don't really know the best way to get out other than just word of mouth, But
Yeah.
the thing about it is, I've invited a lot of people, and Parks has bought quite a bit of people over the years and loaned them equipment. If they needed something, more than likely, if you let somebody know ahead of time, somebody's going to. I mean, USPSA shooters have guns. There's no doubt about that. Somebody's going to have a gun you can borrow in magazines. Now they may not give you any ammo nowadays.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So just word of mouth, and I think the biggest thing is getting people out there their first match. I've talked to some law enforcement guys, and it's almost like they don't want to get out there and get embarrassed. These people who have shot on a square range and stuff like that, they hear the word competition, and it's like, oh crap, no, I can't do that. They're gonna, it's gonna be embarrassing, and it's really not. Nobody really cares how you shoot out there.
Nobody cares about how other people are shooting. They only care about themselves.
That's it. I mean, really. I mean, we'll have some law enforcement guys that come out there with the duty belt on, and they do it for nothing but training. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, other people use it as a hobby, and then there are other people. I want to win every time I go out there. I mean, I'm going to have a good time, but I don't go out there just to have fun. I'm going to have fun, but I want to win too. So I think that's the thing. We just kind of it's just getting people to try it the first time, because like we said before, you do it the first time. And most people, they shoot their first match. You come back, heck yeah, I'm coming back. Yeah, this is awesome. So I think you just really got to promote it and talk to people. I think the ranges need to promote it, especially like ours, which is a working range.
Yeah.
And they promote on the Facebook page, and stuff like that. But
who does that?
Yeah, they.
It's just
yeah, that's right. I knew that was they. But so anyway, and I think and I don't know if this is coming up or not, but doing some introduction to competitive shooting classes are huge.
Yeah, actually, that is my next question. So, couple of things before you touch on that too. So already, if you can make a blast maybe on social media or email saying, hey, if you know someone that wants to come out, let us know ahead of time. Do they need guns, gear, belt, whatever, and we'll tell them the caliber to bring it in. I think if every single person, think about it, that shot brought one person, how many new people would that be?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm talking about thousands. I don't know how many members right now USPSA has. Do you?
Yeah, about 30,000, I think, is what I heard.
That's a huge number for us.
But and I don't even think I only think about 17. I heard it on a podcast with Mike Foley. Not a little over half are actually active shooting scores,
Right.
yearly.
So
yeah, I think if they can bring somebody with them, for sure.
And I think a lot have made the first match free, right, for new shooters.
Yep. Yeah, we tried to do some of that. We've also said that if you bring somebody, with you, we'll let you shoot your first match free. And we have gotten quite a few new faces out over the last, surprisingly, the last 6 months, which this is the time when you wouldn't think you would be getting new people, but yeah, I think that's big.
Yeah, same with juniors having free shoots. So okay, yeah, we've got this idea. You're probably not the first to think of it, but of hosting intro to USPSA classes, right? For people wanting to get in, because how they move, what are the rules, what gear, what equipment, that's the biggest thing that we try and tell, just come out, but so many are still afraid to even come out. So what would this class look like? What's the dream to build that?
So they used to do them at Talon. John put them on. Parks said that's how he got started, is they had an intro. And I think it was kind of a conglomerate of Steel Challenge, USPSA, and he may have done some 3-gun stuff too.
Yeah.
I know Drew and them were doing them for a while, but I think, and we had been talking about doing them, and then COVID hit, and ammo was 60 cents a round, and you're like, if you're going to charge this much for a class, and then they got about $150 worth of ammo,
yeah.
But I think those are huge. I think you would need to get several people that have equipment that can be borrowed. I mean, you can get somebody started with a basic holster and a mag pouch, a single mag pouch, and go over the majority of the stuff. I don't know that if I were to do it, I would really combine Steel Challenge and USPSA because it's a lot to throw at somebody.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
Too much rules and yeah.
yeah. So, but I think doing introduction and just go over the basic rules, run some stages, run some drills, let them practice drawing out of the holster, let them run around with a gun. I was talking to somebody yesterday, about that, a fairly new shooter, and they said, I'm just scared to run around with a gun. Well, when I first started doing it, I would go out to Talon and I would just with an unloaded gun just run as fast as I could around the bay.
Yes.
Just get back and forth and cross the bay, and sooner or later it feels comfortable. And then, you watch a lot of these videos. Yeah, I probably look like an idiot. Good thing they have cameras back there on that part. But it gets you comfortable with doing it. So I think it's all about more, getting people comfortable with doing the stuff other than standing there in their weaver stance and shooting, 5 shots at a target and then going to get a sip of Coke and stuff like that. Because that way, and we were always, when we were planning it, we were going to do the intro class, and then we were all going to shoot together on the following match together as a squad. And so that way, everybody that was at the intro class would shoot together on the stage. We would kind of walk them through it. Yep.
Yeah, stage plan together, learn how to shoot the stage, and then assess maybe after. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and see, John Rasmus is really good about that. I mean, he will take the new people, and he's really good at helping, and most people are helping, but it's good to have somebody that can give you constant tips, other than saying, well, you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't do it.
The most patient person, but he's also like the most, I don't know, positive. I've never heard him complain or have a negative thing out of his mouth. I do remember one time though, and if he ever listens to this, probably doesn't, where I was like, John, I need you to coach me. He's like, you don't need a coach. I was like, but I want to coach.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's great. He is great. And that's the thing. You gotta ask people stuff. I'm telling you, you cannot be afraid to ask anybody anything. I will listen to. I was listening to Jason Bradley. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was second to Max Carry Optics Nationals last year, I think 2 years ago. Anyway, yeah, he's good. But he does like a live Instagram every Monday. Well, I will get on there and ask him a question. He was doing a scoop draw, and I will log right in there and say, can you zoom in on that scoop draw? And he will zoom his camera right in. I mean, if I have a question for Juanzit Kim, I'll email him, or Joel Park or Ben. They'll help you out. Now, I'm not going to say, hey, can you show me a video of your practice for 2 hours? I don't expect them to do that, but you got to ask questions, and they're more than willing to help. And at the local guys too. Every match has a group of good local shooters. You just got to be willing to hit those people up, once you start feeling comfortable. That's the thing. You just got to I think we got to make the new shooters really comfortable, and kind of welcome in as a part of the crowd and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think there's a couple things of that too, is like, again, trust what they're saying, but trust but verify, because you don't know who you're learning from. Right. That's a big thing, especially if it's rule stuff. But I think that's valuable, of knowing when to ask questions and how. Like the other thing is, I don't know if this is even meaningful, but like before a stage, even if it's a local, like I don't want to be asked a question or bothered. How do you talk about like shooters etiquette, right? If they're on deck or the next.
Well, yeah, you might be talking to the wrong person. Because yeah, I completely understand. It's funny that you brought that up, because I was listening to a podcast with the Williams sisters the other day, and I can't remember what it was, but one of them said that like when the super squad is shooting together, that like if Max Michelle walks up there, it is dead silence, and like if you say a word, they kick you off the bay. And I'm like, well, I would never make it on that.
I wouldn't either. No. That's part of, stadiums, football stadiums, we need to be quiet. No.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a good time, and yes, it is a local match, but it is junk talking the entire. I mean, if it wasn't for talking junk, we wouldn't even be able to talk about anything.
It wouldn't be
most
fun.
Part. Yeah. So now, when you get to a level 2 or nationals, obviously, I'm not going to be screaming, bring me a white paster in the middle of a 2-gun nationals or something like that. But there is, and that's the thing. I think you kind of just got to feel people out.
Yeah.
We never really take it majorly serious, but 2-gun nationals, you got a lot of money invested in stuff like that. We do a lot of talking. I'm not the kind of person that literally you could come up to me and tug on my back pocket right before I make ready. And it's not going to bother me one single bit, but other people, 3 shooters up, they don't want anything said to them. And I think you do have to respect that. But the thing about it is how do you know? Do you have to, do I have to say something to Kenzie one time? You turn around and bite my head off and I know, well, don't talk to Kenzie, so it's a fine line too, between that, and you figure out pretty quickly who is taking it really, really seriously and who kind of needs their time, but there is definitely etiquette to it. I mean, noise while somebody's shooting and stuff like that, you got to be smart about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't mind the talking. I think if it's quiet, it's actually worse. But I actually don't hear, like when people, when you watch videos or listen to videos, you didn't hear what you said at all. And then I rewatch it, cracking up because it's something someone said, like, Kenzie's on the ground again. That was what someone said at my last match.
Yeah.
But I'm tweeting that out. Yeah, but I mean, again, the etiquette, even if you're at a major match, you do want to do a little bit well, like not asking stuff when they're the next shooter, or if you tank a stage and you're coming off, like, I need a minute.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And we normally, we do that even with, even with just guys that are part of the group. Somebody DQs, that is not the time, to say something, especially, we're going to give you at least a minute or two to calm down before we say
just 1 minute.
But some people really do get pissed and you're like, it's dead silence, so you're not going to say anything to them for a while and they'll come around. You just got to be smart about it. I mean, if you're talking about guys who do it for a living and they're legit and you have walked up on their stage,
they have to get paid for that. Yeah.
That's right. And you just got to be smart about, whoever it is. It doesn't matter if they're a D-class shooter, if they're taking it serious, you want to respect, how they want to shoot the match. So that is a big part of it. And you kind of just learn that as you go along,
Yeah. But if you're not heckling, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you're not heckling me, cussing at me, and giving me crap, then I know something's wrong, or not being honest. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be like, "Great job," and I'm be like, "Kevin, I watched it. I lived that."
Yeah. Well, it's like, so a perfect example is one of our shooters' friend was shooting middle of the stage. We're kind of scoring behind because at the level 1, I highly encourage scoring behind, to speed it up. But anyway, he shoots I don't know, it's either a mic or a no shoot. And me and another guy said, uh-oh, at the same time. Well, he heard it. And it was like ruined the rest of his stage, and I felt bad. Mm-hmm. I felt bad about it, So, and I don't hear anything either. When I start shooting, I don't hear a thing. I mean, it's just, I don't know if I'm just focused on it and I kind of block it all out, or if it's the gun going off or whatever. But I can't say that I've ever heard anything while I'm shooting the stage.
I haven't either. So that's just, yeah. So figure out your people and how they want things to be done. But there is some etiquette-ish. But if you can't handle shit talking, you might want to pick a different sport.
Yeah, no kidding, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it normally people that they might be off-putting for the first time, but the next time they're right there with you. They're having a good time too. So it's just part of
it. And these juniors, they hear it at home and more. So you'll
Oh yeah. That's right.
Okay, so our favorite little segment here. I asked some people from the lovely Tallahassee Practical Shooters to send you some questions. This is the worst one. You're talking about your movement and getting fast. So Richard Whitesea says, ask him if round is the most aerodynamic shape for speed efficiency during movement on a stage.
Well, see, this is the thing about it. I am not a physical specimen by any means. But I can shoot the stage as fast as anybody, if not faster than anybody. And that's the biggest thing. I'm not the most accurate. But that's to me, when I'm practicing USPSA, it's all about moving. So it's I can move this right through the air, cuts through the wind. People always, my brother said this years ago, when people would say, how come you don't get in shape? And he would just say, round is a shape.
It's a shape.
You know what I mean? So.
On the other side of this, the serious side, Drew Coleman said, how do you cope with decreased match attendance brought on by outside factors?
So this has been a big thing for the last year and a half, obviously, especially with the COVID. When the COVID hit, we had quite a few of the older crowd that was worried about it. Even though you're outside, we kind of got together as a club, 8 or 10 of us, and kind of discussed what we were going to do when it was in the major in the middle of the year last year, whenever it was. And we did shut down for a couple months, and JD and Charlie kind of left it up to us. They were good either way with whatever, because the range never closed.
Oh yeah. You can't.
And that's the kind of thing.
That's an essential business.
That's right, and it was, thank the Lord, because it gave us something to do. So that was a big deal. You just kind of got to ride it out through those months. And now with the ammo situation, we've started, and I know Drew and them have started doing matches with less round count. So we went to where we would have, because you got a lot of people that would go to Walmart the day before and they'd buy their 3 boxes of, ammo and come to the match.
Yeah.
And so we started lowering round counts to keep it like around 130 as opposed to 175. We try not to do 3 or 4 30-round stages and stuff like that, to try to keep the people your guys who shoot all the time, they're going to be prepared for stuff like this more than likely. It's just your
shot more than I have before this.
Yeah, I have as well. I have as well. So, you just kind of got to work with those people the best you can, give them ammo. I told a lot of people where they could find ammo and try to help them out and stuff like that. And we would make announcements, at the matches, and Talon did really good, about letting know when ammo was available and stuff like that. So I think, you kind of got to help people out when crazy stuff like this happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It sucks. It sucks when our community goes through like perspective, right? Oh, I shoot a lot. Okay. What's a lot?
Right.
500 rounds a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a practice session. So I think a lot of the rangers, including Talon, did a really good job where they made ammo available for the people shooting, for the range members, for the competitive shooters. And I've seen the major matches now, a couple of them, like Federal, and I think Atlanta Arms did one. They made sure that ammo was only for competitors that were signed up for the match.
Yep. Yeah. That was a good deal. And no matter the price, if you want to shoot, you can shoot. You know what I mean? And I thought I saw somebody posted, and it was right before Two Gun Nationals. Somebody posted on the USPSA Facebook page about that. Are you still continuing to have matches? And they're like, we're not canceling matches.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. Everybody still wants to shoot. I mean, look at the turnouts they've had, so people still want to shoot. But yeah, it's been really good. Talon did awesome. They would drive and pick up ammo, and they had it, so that's been good to help us kind of get through this, and it's getting better.
Yeah. For people don't know, I didn't put this in here, but Talon Range has been like my home range since day one. I miss it. I love it. That's where I learned to shoot. That's where they had the first Glock match that I ever shot, like everything there. Right. So, and you and I both seen it growing up, but really they didn't have the cameras. They didn't have the 400-yard bay. They didn't have the comp bay. It's like, this is cool. So what is Talon Range, and where is it located? And, what all do they do there?
All right. So Talon is located in Midway, Florida, just outside of Tallahassee, about 10 miles outside of Tallahassee. They have got 15 pistol bays. They have a 100-yard range, 200-yard, 300-yard, 400-yard rifle range. 3 of the pistol bays are steel. I think they have, 5 or 6 15-yard, then the 5 or 6 25-yard, 2 50-yard bays, and then 3 steel. They have a bunch of steel inside of them. And then we obviously have 7 competition bays in the back of the range. When we're not shooting competitions, because they run steel out there, we run USPSA. They also run cowboy action matches out there. So, but those are open as well for the members, so it's a great place to have to shoot close to where a lot of people are, Yeah.
They've got archery too, and they've got skeet and trap fields and a really cool court.
Yeah, that's right.
I miss all of that.
Yeah, and now they've got a store, so it's like they rent guns, and that's the best thing to me that a range can do is rent guns. Is because they've got a couple cases of guns that you can literally go out there for $10, I think, and rent a gun. What better can you do that before you buy something? I would recommend a lot of people do that.
100%. I think the worst question, and this for everyone loud and clear to hear, the worst question that you can ask someone is, what should I buy? Or what do you carry? Because that's what I'm going to buy. That is 2 totally different people, different hands, different recoil management, everything. You are the only person that can decide. So yeah, go to the range, rent all the guns, pick that right one.
Yeah, that's right. Because pretty much all I've ever shot, minus the Smith & Wesson, are Glocks. you know, and it's because they've always run. I've never had the first issue with them, you know, and they've always run. But you know, I would shoot a SIG 320 X5 in a second. I would shoot a Walther in a second, you know, or an Atlas or an Akai in a second, you know, just because I know enough people to shoot those guns. You know, now if you have somebody that shows up, you know, with something. We had a guy show up with a Kimber Solo, like a micro pistol for a steel match one time. And it was in 45. And I'm like, no. And you know, and everybody told him almost immediately right off the bat, it's going to be a long day with that gun, you know, and he couldn't hardly hit anything. Well, then we give him one of our guns and it's like, he's nailing the target. So yeah, you know, borrow, if you have friends that shoot, borrow, go out and shoot, you know, guns. I'm more than willing to let anybody shoot my guns, you know, at any time. Yeah. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so back to the ammo stuff too. You've been super savvy when it comes to loading ammo and making it work, even now, and way back in the day, forever. So, because you're gonna be my thrifty Kevin. Parks asked this question: how did you map out ammo opportunities if you're willing to give up your secrets?
Yeah, so I don't reload at this point. I shoot all factory ammo. It's just a time thing for me.
I don't
you know. And I can tell you, I will normally take 124 grain if I can get it. That's what I can notice a slight difference. But at speed, there's very little I notice between either. The only notice I've ever done was when I shot. Parks had some 147 grain reloads, and I could tell the difference between that and my PCC than a 115. I could notice that, but you know, at speed,
all I get. Yeah.
You know, I don't really notice it, so I will buy the cheapest thing possible. Now, I will shoot steel in practice. I don't have any issue, especially out of I mean, I'll tell you, at the 2 Gun Nationals, I shot Academy Sports brand Monarch steel cased.
What?
I can almost guarantee I was probably the only person shooting that at the national match, you know, but it ran fine, you know, but, so anyway, yeah, plan ahead, you know, I always try to keep a couple thousand rounds and ahead of this, you know, next time, you know, if you're a regular shooter, you never know when this is going to happen. You're going to have ammo for 6 or 7 months. Yeah. Like you said earlier, ammo goes quick, especially when you know, most people shoot about 100 rounds a year that are just regular casual shooters. Well, that's about 7 minutes for us. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, literally a practice session, you can shoot 300 rounds in 25, 30 minutes, no problem.
Yep.
You know, so you got to plan ahead for this. You got to plan, you know, years. If you just say, I shoot the local Talon match every Sunday and it's 150 rounds. Well, you know, you're going to have 1,500 rounds, you know.
Yep.
So you keep that around at all times.
I think that the people, or what other people don't do, and this sounds so silly, like when I was in Minnesota, I went to a Shields and they had primers, but they had a capacity of only 2 boxes, which 200 primers, right? That's nothing. Mm-hmm. I went every day till I got 1,000. So what people don't know is like to overbuy. I mean, shoot, if you're going to shoot, if you're a shooter, do not hoard things, people.
Right.
But, you know, if I see, even federal, I bought that. The match was only, I think, 500 rounds or 400 rounds. So I bought 1,000. I know I'm going to use the 600 another day.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. So anyway, this COVID stuff, I'm telling you, you're not going to believe this, but it's true. It's true. We did it. So I'd planned ahead. I already had, you know, several thousand rounds, but while it was still cheap, you know, and to me about the reloading is, yes, you can get, if I was shooting, you know, 9 major or 38 super cop or something like that, you have to reload for that. That's a whole different story, you know, but I mean, literally when I started shooting 9 back in the day, I was shooting Freedom Munitions, remanufactured, just junkiest ammo, but it was 13 cents a round.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm like, if I can reload for 11 cents a round, why spend the time when I can spend 2 more cents a round, you know, and get it? And even when it got up to, you know, before all this hit, you could get, you know, 1,000 rounds for $160 at Target Sports. So, you know, it's a time investment and I'll do it one day. But, you know, so anyway, people still had ammo. So like Academy, we'll use Academy Sports as an example. There are some local gun stores that were just outrageous, like $1 a round for Full Metal Jacket and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that. I'd just go without shooting for a couple.
I also would never support that company again either.
Yeah, you know, and
some of it's not on them, but a lot of it that high, it definitely is.
Yeah, well, and that's, you know, they're always high. Even before all this, they were always high. So, you know, ahead of time, you know, that you're not going to do that. But the thing about that is, before we get back to ammo, is people don't know. people don't know. I mean, people go out buy ammo. If they started shooting, if they were one of the first, time gun owners during the COVID, and they went to somewhere and to buy ammo, and it was $60 for a box of 50 round American Eagle 115. They don't know any better. That's all. They've never bought ammo, so that's the only price they know.
Right.
So but anyway, so like Academy would get ammo in a couple times a week. So we talked to the manager and found out what days the ammo would come in. And so we would go up there and they would have it like on the shelf. They got to where they wouldn't even put it out on the shelf. They would just roll the cart out in the middle of the floor. And like, it was like Black Friday. I'm telling you, they would open the doors and people would haul butt back there and get it. So anyway, when the COVID first hit, you could still buy as much as you want. So you could get 1,000 rounds at a time. It's no big issue. But the more and more it went along, the harder it was to get ammo. They wouldn't let you just get unlimited. So then they started putting it behind like the customer service desk. And so they were watching you because see, when it was, even when they left it on the shelf and they would say like a 2-box limit, all you'd have to do is you go in there, get your 2 boxes, you go back out to the truck, and then you go to a different register.
Yep.
You just do that 3 times in the same day.
Yep.
So then they put it behind like the customer service counter, and they were watching you. They would you would walk in like it was Secret Service or something, like Garden Gold or something, and they would watch you. So you couldn't do that anymore. So the mask really helped during this. So like I would go in, have a mask on. This is not a joke. A couple of people did this. We would go in because the ammo was still, it was still 17, 18 cents a round at that point.
Yeah.
So we'd go in, get our couple boxes from behind the counter, go to the register, go out to the truck, throw a Columbia shirt on over that, put a different mask on, change your hat, right back through there. Yeah. So they're limiting you to 200 rounds, but you still get 600. And it came down to that because you're like, well, heck, is it going to be a year and a half before I can get it? And the bad thing about that is if you're shooting it, I don't mind.
Right.
I don't mind.
Right.
But I know there's people sitting at their house right now that have 10,000 rounds of ammo that's going to last them for the next 300 years.
And they're never going to use it.
You know what I mean?
Going to go back.
And or either they're going to try to sell it here in the next 6 months to a year. They're going to try to get back 30 cents a round that they paid for it, and they're not, so that, I mean, if you're going to shoot it, I don't mind. You buy as much as you want.
Very, very salty times. Yeah. So like supporting companies that are supporting us, that are trying to do their best, keeping the price down, even if they're trying to get everybody to have some, at least the limit. I'm still supportive of that because it's not outrageous, but I've seen this stuff where Blazers now $800 for 1,000 on websites. And I'm like, in what world?
Right. Well, and it seems like the smaller companies, like the Supervail and the Black Dot, those people pulled through and they made sure that competitive shooters could still shoot.
So listen to this too. And I talked to Mike Stoker at Supervail too. I didn't know this. So I had 500 rounds get stolen out of my box of 1,000, like straight up ripped open, whatever. And I told him about it. I was like, I feel bad, but I'm just letting you know 500 rounds is gone. He's had that happen like a dozen different times. Mike pulled from his own stock to load 500 rounds again and send them back out.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's good people.
Yeah.
So again,
looking
at the smaller companies and Black Dot too, like going to East Alabama Gun Club, they had ammo for sale for non-members that come to the range and members that come to the range, and there's different limits for both because you are supporting, again, if you're supporting them the right way.
Exactly.
So
yeah, exactly. And Talon was the same way, and that's the same thing I do too. So it's been the guys that help out, the Bullets, Blue Bullets, and those guys have come through and helped out,
Absolutely.
But the biggest thing is just to prepare. You got to prepare ahead of time. I don't know that it'll ever get back down as cheap as it was. If it gets down to 19 or 20 cents, I think that'll be fine.
Yeah.
But you just got to be prepared for it.
Yeah. Sucks. So yeah. And then I've been a range chicken every time I work a match. I do not give a shit. I bring a bucket and I am a happy little chicken. So now who's laughing? But even if you don't reload, couple things. I bought small rifle primers before. Well, my friend will trade me for that or pay me for that because I got them and he reloads, or sell the brass. Talon, I don't even know how much their buckets are anymore. If you pick up brass, they'll buy it. And I have known to pick up a piece of brass or two in my lifetime as well. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. They're like peasants, and I'm like, money.
Yeah. Well, that's right. And especially if you work the bigger matches, you can get it.
I have 4 5-gallon buckets right there still from 2 gun and Texas, like I take it everywhere. Walmart and
Yep.
Home Depot have $5 gallon buckets or whatever.
Yep. That's right.
All right, here we go. We're interrupting this for something just as serious as this talk, but nobody wants to talk about it. Are you ready?
Yep.
So chafing for us round-shaped people is a real thing.
No doubt.
And I just discovered this. So what do you use to prevent swamp ass and chafing?
All right. So this all comes back. I know who asked this question. This all comes back to I think it was the Alabama sectional. It was at Dothan Gun Club. I don't know if it was the Alabama sectional or if it was the Summer Blast. But anyway, it was a hot match. And and it was so bad that I literally couldn't even hardly walk back to the truck. I mean, it was awful. I can't even explain. And it's not the first time that's ever happened in my life. But, normally you buy the compression shorts. I've tried that. But these had a damn seam on them. I don't know. A raised seam.
Okay, real quick about that. So if you ask marathon runners, which my aunt was one of them, those inseams they don't have on their shorts because they rub and they're actually worse. So the seam should be on the front, if anything, and not where. Yep.
Yeah, so it was like having a serrated knife in my pants all day, cutting my leg open, and I literally couldn't walk. So anyway, Parks proceeds to tell me, get the blue gold bond. Blue gold bond. So I said, okay. And he tells me the process of getting it in and tub and stuff like that. So anyway, I put the blue gold bond on. No kidding, Kenzie. It felt like that somebody had thrown a match down my pants. It was burning like fire. So I'm texting him and I'm like, something's wrong with this. This stuff is burning. And he's like, oh, it'll go away. So like 45 minutes later, it hadn't gone away. I'm done with it. I'm done with the blue. I get in the tub, wash it all off, So then, I bought the gold bond. And that's what I've been doing ever since. But I did buy some spray today on your recommendation the other day. So we're going to see how that works.
You're going to test it out.
Yeah.
So Steve Mormile did ask, why is it important to distinguish between gold bond and the blue stuff?
Yeah, there's a big difference. Trust me, if you don't know, test it out. But just buy a small bottle because you don't want to waste your money. Because you're not going to use. I don't know what the medicated would really be for, unless it was just like keep you awake or something.
Oh, fire the pants! Oh my god. Yeah, and Parks asked, what are the pros and cons of spray versus powder?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll let him know next week. Yeah, because at my job, I sweat all day long.
Yeah.
From the time I get up in the morning, all day long I'm sweating. So it's a daily issue.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. So my thighs have always loved each other. Okay, since volleyball high school, they love each other. So I've always had to wear the longer pants, and like I was wearing dude pants. Well, I couldn't find girl shorts that were not girl shorts, right? I don't really care anymore. So my local 511 store knows me by name. I go there all the time. Thank God I have one now. And I was like, I need shorts. He's like, for what? And we talked about the why. He's like, we'll see how this works with the inseam, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But dude shorts have changed the game as well. I mean, I still use the chafing stuff, but I don't chafe anymore.
Yeah, it's a good thing to fix, that's for sure.
That's ridiculous. Okay, got that down, folks. Gold bond, spray or powder.
There you go, Steve. Parks, you got it.
Okay, so we're talking about how to get new shooters in as far as USPSA, Steel Challenge, Glock, all of that. And we were talking about a little bit like borrowing gear and all of that. But what would you say is like the bare minimum stuff or amount of stuff that people should have to at least, go shoot for a while on their own without depending upon other people?
I mean, you will need at least, if you were just going to say just shoot, you're going to shoot limited. You need at least 3 magazines, for Steel Challenge or for USPSA. That will, because more than likely, if you're shooting a full-size gun, it's going to have 15, 17 round magazines, and the same thing with steel. Preferably 5 for steel.
I was going to say, if you're reloading for Steel Challenge, like in the middle of a string.
Yeah. No, if it gets to that point, just don't. Just call it a 30, and and GSSF, what you need at least 4 or 5 mags for that, just because you don't want somebody to be reloading. Mags are cheap.
Yeah.
That's something. If you buy a gun, I think you should have 4 to 5 mags for no matter what gun you have.
Every gun that you have. And GSSF, you have to shoot a Glock So they're going to have the Glock mags and all of that, but that is a major match always for them. It's not going to be a match. So you're literally taking time for people waiting. So
yeah, exactly. And sometimes there's lots of people there, and Bob can tell you, I don't like waiting. It's miserable. The GSSF match, I have done really well in the last couple of years. But it's not fun to me. I think it's good beginner sport.
Yeah.
It gets you used to a timer, you get used to that beat, but it's not, once you get into, competitive shooting, it's not that much fun to go to.
Yeah. It's good because I've won a couple guns. I've won a couple placement cash. We're good. Are you at the master?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got 4. I won 4 last year, the last 2 years. So yeah, I'm about done with that.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so Oliver asked, how old does someone have to be to start competing in shooting sports?
There is no age limit. I've talked about this with my daughter. She's 6 now. I would like to get her out there in the next couple of years to start shooting some steel, with my little 22.
Yep.
And there are people, we've had some younger kids out there, but you watch on YouTube, there's some 10 or under kids that can do it, move around, reload, and all this stuff. I think it all comes down to safety, how much you've taught them. That's, the earlier you get them started on it, teaching them about the safety rules and stuff like that. I don't want a 6-year-old drawing from the holster, I don't think, with a Glock 34 or something like that. But, I think it's just whatever you feel comfortable, whatever they feel comfortable doing, but.
Yeah. I just wrote a blog about this too, and I was looking at different range rules. There's so many ranges out there. It sucks, but I get why, because somebody ruined it. But they had you have to be 8, you have to be 10, you have to be 16, you have to be 18, you have to be 21 even, right?
Yeah.
I think there's some freaking 21 and 30 and 50-year-olds that should not be shooting firearms.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
I will take every steel challenge junior shooter with me and leave everybody else and be.
Yeah.
I could turn my back on all of them. Truly, that sport has changed the game for juniors. And
oh man,
God, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
It's awesome. It's awesome. The numbers that they're getting is crazy.
Yeah. I can't remember how
old.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say that another thing about bringing new shooters in is the limits of your range are huge. We get 50 shooters, we're busting at the seams. We could do 60, but a lot of people, including myself, don't want to be out there at 7:30 in the morning and be leaving at 5 o'clock for a level 1 match.
Right.
And I see up around Atlanta, I think it's the Atlanta Practical Shooters, they shoot they're 80 shooters.
Yeah.
That's a lot of shooters. So you kind of got to weigh that out, especially when you got such a small crew designing stages. If you have a whole team that's designing stages, or you can leave them up, stuff like that you could shoot on 2 days, the more the better. But steel challenge, it's crazy.
And it was cool. I was gonna say, I don't know how old she was, probably 8, maybe 10, I don't know. But she had a really bad malfunction, bless her heart, and at level 2, you can't, have help. And so she turns around. I don't know if it was father or guardian. She's like, I need help. And he's like, I can't help you. Like, that's the thing. And she ended up figuring it out, cleared the jam, and reloaded it. And I think there's a lot of people out there that have, I don't want to say preconceived things or judgment of juniors, but they'll have that, they don't know how to do it, or they won't let them do it. They are capable of it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I don't mind doing that. If we have a junior shooter come out to USPSA and they they've never had a jam before, but there's nothing wrong with letting them figure it out on their own. And a lot of them can do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, she'd probably shot a million matches, sponsored and all that.
Yep.
But yeah, just know that they are capable, and to give them that opportunity, especially if they're safe.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you out there to steel challenge these juniors, they'll embarrass you real quick.
Humble you real fast.
Very quick.
Grant Kunkel, taking every division. We're like, just stay up there, just collect the trophies.
yeah. I just actually messaged him a question the other day about talking about emailing or messaging him. I messaged him a question about his PCC.
There you go. That's awesome. And we'll get to that in a second. It's coming up. One of the tough questions, but a good one, and maybe you can't answer this, but Rachel Duke asked, how can we increase, women in this male-dominated sport? And how have you seen that change maybe over the years?
Yeah, I can't say that really. I mean, there are a lot more women shooters now than there were when I first started shooting USPSA, even at the local match. But it's still,
Yeah.
5% of the match. It's tough. I remember the first time I took my wife out to shoot. It was with a Glock 22, and other people were around, and that was the last time she shot with me. I think it's good that this girl and a gun stuff is great.
Yeah.
I know I saw a lot of people are starting to do women only classes. I think it just kind of feel more comfortable. Make it more comfortable like that and less threatening.
Yeah.
It seems like the ladies that come out and shoot with us, they have a great time.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Just kind of getting them out there. It's kind of getting them over that hump of, because it is a male dominated sport. It just, tough question.
I know. I'm not the girly girl, but for sure, I think the other ones, or a lot of people that do you like shooting them, have all girl squads, maybe if you can put them together, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think having the people like you guys too, y'all are very welcoming, non-condescending. Like there's certain people too. So how can we be welcoming, not just to them, but everybody? So
that's right.
Don't judge, don't condescend. Again, juniors, women, all of that, or other people in general.
Right. That's right.
Okay, another question before we get to the AK or the AKV and all that. But Parks wants to know, how do you manage and balance having a kiddo, having a demanding job, a wife that you probably need to tend to, and your love of shooting guns that sometimes requires traveling for a few days. So how do you do all that?
Yeah, you just got to kind of, I don't get to shoot everything that I'd like to.
Yep.
Which is fine. My daughter's 6. I coached baseball for years. I quit that when she was born just because that's why I had a child. I want to spend time with her. It's part of life. But my wife's got her hobbies. So on the weekend I take a day at the range and she goes the next day. So we kind of rotate doing that. Kind of playing a little ahead of time for weekend matches. But it really hasn't been that much of an issue.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know anything about couples life, but I think it's good to have hobbies outside of your spouse or yeah.
Yeah, you have to. There's no, yeah. I totally agree. No, yeah, you do. I mean, you do. I don't think you can do every single thing together.
Yeah.
There's just, so it is good to have stuff that's, different for sure.
I think it's helpful though. I mean, having spouses come out and watch and meet some of the people too can be very helpful. Like I just, it's fun to share in the passion or just at least be there and supportive and all of that. I think is really cool to see. Again, I don't know any of that, but I've seen it from meeting all of the spouses, which is cool.
Well, and the only thing about it is one thing about USPSA is it's not much of a spectator sport if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, steel, that's why I enjoy steel. I thought that if anything were ever to go mainstream for shooting, it would be like a pro-am, because you can watch that on TV and say, dang, they're doing awesome, Whereas if somebody's shooting a paper target, you can't tell anything, For us, it's still fun to watch. We still enjoy watching it because we learn stuff from it. But, it's not that much of a spectator sport to kind of sit around and, because, my wife could go out there and watch 10 shooters and they would basically look all the same, So,
True. Pasting too. You have other duties. So, all right, fun stuff to wrap up this episode. So we'll talk about the AKV that you got. So
yeah,
I was there for this. So my buddy Scott had it. You touched it and then you bought it.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is a good story too. So yeah, y'all came for the classifier match.
Why did you not listen to me on the correct red dot the first time? Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll get into that. So anyway, yes, you and Scott came over and shot the classifier match, and he had the AKV, and I'm like, I'd never heard of it at that point, but so we talked to him, and then he let me shoot it at the end, and I'm like, I've got to have it. So Palmetto Star Armory, I'm not sure about them. I swear I think they make like 3 guns at a time, and they put them on the website, and then like next Tuesday they make 6 more, and then or either they make 10,000 and they're like, we're only going to put 2 on today. So I start checking, and I'd made up my mind that I wanted a short barrel, and we'll get into that process in a second too. But so I was either going to go with I didn't want to spend a bunch of money too late, but I didn't want to spend a bunch of money up front, like with a JP or something. I'd love to have a JP. But I couldn't drop $1,900 plus put a dot on top of it. So anyway, so I'm checking every day, every single day. My job was, I drive about 50 minutes every day back and forth. So anyway, I'd been checking and checking and checking for weeks and weeks and weeks, out of stock, out of stock. So I'm driving home one day, and it's like in the middle of the woods, and I'm checking. I check it, and it was in stock.
I remember this.
I pull over on the side of the road, and it was like by the county dump, and I couldn't get any service. So I had to drive up to the top of the hill, pull over again, and so I'm ordering. So this is no joke. So the first one I click on is like the solid black one.
Uh-huh.
By the time I get to check out, I mean, I already put my credit card information, everything, out of stock. Go to the next one, same thing. So I get to the fourth one. The first three are all out of stock. I get to the plum colored one, and by God, it goes through. So I'm on the side of the highway ordering this thing. It was crazy.
I love when you're like, I had to get the purple one. I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I didn't have, that was the only one left.
Did you get it Cerakoted?
No, I didn't. It's still purple.
Oh God. So, but it's fun to shoot. So any challenges, with shooting, or how'd you short barrel rifle it? A lot of people don't know how to do that.
So here it is, by the way, if people have never seen one.
So cool.
If you can see it, it's basically just an AK version in 9mm. They use, Palmetto State makes their own mags for it, but it's basically CZ Scorpion mags. And that's the good thing about it. The mags, like you can get black mags for $13.95, 35 rounders.
Oh yeah.
And the extensions are $20. So you basically get a 50-round magazine for $35.
You really only need one anyway, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so the red dot, we'll get to that too. Being cheap. And really at the time, the guns were about $300 more than they were when I bought it.
Yeah.
But at the time, I'm like, nah, let's spend all this money. So I ordered a Hollow Sun 403B, I think. Just a tube red dot. I'd had it on a AR, a couple of them, and it's a good dot. But I looked at it and I shot it the first time. I'm like, because Scott had the 510 Hollow Sun. So anyway,
all we got.
I sell that. I sell the 403 like the next day. Order the Hollow Sun. It was lucky because I ordered from a company called Kenzie's Optics. I don't know if you've ever used them before.
I bought a scope from them because of the name.
Yeah, no kidding. So anyway, I looked up. I will search. I email everybody I know, and I'm like, hey, do you have a coupon code for so and so? And I couldn't find anything, but I searched online, and I got Rick Birdsall had a code for Kenzie's Optics for 12% off or something. So I got a good deal on it. So anyway, I got that. Yeah. So anyway, it's awesome. The SBR process, very easy after you've done it the first time. So I did a trust. There's two different ways you can do it, individual or a trust. I did a trust, so you can basically leave it to somebody, and somebody else can take it if you wanted. If you put them on, on the trust, they can take it with them. If I do it as an individual, I can't let you take this gun to a match and shoot it without me being there.
Yeah.
Suppressor.
It's your babysitter.
Yeah. So anyway, I did the first time I messed it up. And see, the biggest pain is you got to go get your fingerprints done. You got to get them on cards. And then you got to mail that within 10 days of sending in your paperwork.
Yep. So
I messed up. I had to go do the whole process over again because I forgot one page. There's 20 pages you got to do, But anyway, it wasn't bad. Once I got it, it was literally 20 days when I got my tax stamp back. Now shooting an SBR, I think it's an advantage in USPSA when it comes to moving around walls.
Yep.
Yeah. When you get, a lot of tight fault lines and stuff like that, I think it's an advantage. Now, these guys like Max, that are just ridiculous with their PCCs, it's not going to affect him that much. But I think it is an advantage. And this is a 10.5, so it's not like an 8. This is just, to me, just the right length to be able to get my arm kind of out there some, but not be all uptight like a 4-inch or 8-inch barrel, something like that. Now, the biggest pain, and I know why pro shooters do not SBR them, is because when you take them out of state.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically what you have to do is it's a 5320, I think, is the form. You have to fill it out for a specific address that you're going to. Now, I don't know how strict they are on that. I've talked to some people that said, just say I put it in Dothan Gun Club's address. I'm good anywhere in Alabama. Realistically, most law enforcement probably wouldn't even know this gun's regulated by the ATF. They just see it as a gun. You know, you might look up and get the one that knows something about guns, but more than likely, you know, then you end up in jail. But so basically, that's the biggest pain is, you know, so what I did was I filled out all these forms in January, and they last for a year.
Yep.
So you basically date it January 1st to December 31st of that year. And you got to put a specific range out. So I did all the ranges that I thought I would shoot at throughout the year. But, you know, the only bad thing is it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for them to mail you back. And they basically just mail you back the same paper you sent in with a cover sheet that says, yeah, you're good, you know. But like they shot the AK Masters out in South Carolina. And I didn't hear about that until about 2 weeks before the match was going to happen. It's too late then, you know.
I really wanted to shoot that. I plan on going next year. I got right back from out of town, was gonna go. And I was like, I can't. I don't even have a gun. I was gonna borrow one, but I'm like, it's too much. But AKs, I think, are the new hotness, or at least AK matches as well. I mean, and a lot of the AK matches are still having the PCC side too, which is cool. But
yeah, that's nice. And it's the only negative side to this gun I bought. So TacCon makes magwell and extended mag release, and you know the AKs are the paddle release for their magazines, and this is. The mags don't drop free, which in a moving stage, it's not a big deal at all because you're not changing mags anyway. In a classifier, you know, or like when I shot the Pro-Am, it was killing me, you know, because it was a 3-second reload because I got to pop it and pull it out, then grab my mag, you know. But anyway, it's still the coolest gun on earth. So I had the coolest gun at Two Gun Nationals for sure. So
awesome. How did it perform there actually compared to, you know, the JPs, Da Vinci's, MPXs?
Not the first, and that's what me and Bob talked about. It wasn't the first issue, and I tell you, I ran that steel cased ammo the entire match. You know, the entire match out of that gun, and it runs like a champ. I have not had any issues at all with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So going back to you and wrapping this up too, why is it important to make shooting fun no matter what?
You know, we've had some people over the years that have kind of just floated away because, you know, you take it. You know, they kind of get burnt out if you, you know, I don't know. To me, I go out there a lot of the part to hang out with people.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of it. That's to get around my friends. Now, I want to win. I tell you, when I get out there, I want to win. You know, I'm going to have a good time, but I'm not going to be out there happy with being 30th place. You know what I mean? Yeah. I do want to go win, and that's just because I'm competitive, and that's what keeps me going, you know, out there. And I'll shoot anything, you know, the 2 guns at Altus or the, you know, Steel Challenge. I like it all, you know, just because I enjoy shooting other than standing on the range shooting. But, you know, hanging out with folks and meeting people and meeting new people, especially when you go to big matches, you know, you meet people from all over the country, and it's cool to do that.
Yeah. I think more people too should squad with still their friends maybe, but squad with people that they haven't met or they don't know, because that's how you meet new people. And it's really cool. I think I know multiple people in all the states of the country.
Yeah. And see, that's what I did the first, because a lot of the guys, when we first started shooting together, they would shoot on Sundays when we go to level 2s, and I'd have to shoot on Saturdays because I hate shooting on a Sunday traveling and then coming and having to go back to work the next day.
Sucks.
You know, yeah, exactly. So, you know, but you get to meet a lot of people. He's the same way. You know, I think the very first level 2 I ever shot, I shot with Luigi Lee. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah,
but he's awesome. Pretty big. Yeah.
No,
yeah. So, you know, yeah.
Good times. Cool. Well, any final thoughts that you want to leave listeners with?
No, I think we talked about just about everything. Get out and shoot matches, have a good time.
Yeah. Any shout outs to any sponsors or people that support you or the community?
No, I don't have any sponsors.
Kevin Bearden.
I don't have any sponsors. Yeah, that's right. That's it. My job sponsors my wife.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. Maybe one day. You know, the thing about sponsors, and this is me, I got a call before we let go, and from a glasses company, not one that's really associated with the sport as much anymore, about a sponsorship. So I'm talking to this person on the phone, and you know, I'm listening to it because it's like, well, you got to buy this jersey and it's got to have this. You can put anything you want on it, but ours has to be 10 inches on the front. You know what I mean? It's $85. You got to buy a pair of our glasses at a steep discount. They don't know what a steep discount is for me. It ain't what their steep discount is, I can tell you that. But anyway, you know, and so then they're like, well, then you get 10% off of this, and you get 10% off of this. Well, once I'm already invested, I have my holster, I have my mag pouches, I have my magazines, I have a gun, I have dots and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. I've never really, kind of, I guess, gone after that kind of stuff. Or
Yeah.
it would be nice. I'd love an ammo sponsor. I would love an ammo sponsor.
Those are unicorns.
I'd love a pair of Hunter's HD Golds. Bob, let me tell you about Hunter's. Before I let you go, because I didn't know. I've listened to Brian's podcast quite a bit, and it's awesome. I think what he does for the sport is awesome. He's really done it good with the loaner glasses that I didn't know you have had at the time. But anyway, so at the Two Gun Nationals, the first day it flooded on us.
Yeah.
The first day we shot, not the day y'all shot, but the first day it flooded on us.
Oh, but we did all the stages in one day and worked the whole time. It was awful. No.
Yeah, that was miserable. I would have never done that.
Better.
But I mean, seeing the difference of Bob's got a pair of glasses. It's a world of difference.
Mm.
I mean, it is a world now. So now I know Steve and Parks all have some. So like when it's cloudy outside, they're like, "Here, look through these. You can't even tell it's cloudy." So yeah.
Be clear. So if anyone needs hunters, talk to Kenzie. I have them.
Yeah, I know. I need to borrow some for a match. Then I may want to buy some.
You just need to buy them. Buy once, cry once in that situation, because I think eyewear is huge, and I swear to God, like you'll never go to any other classes ever again. It's crazy, like crazy difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it.
So anyways, I know you're not big on social media, but how could people, reach out to you or connect with you if they want to come shoot, Talon Range or have questions about all this? Yep.
They can look me up on Facebook, Kevin Bearden, or they can join our Tallahassee Practical Shooters Facebook page. They can just send a message on there and we'll get back to them. And same thing with Instagram. I post some videos on there every now and then. I'm not real good about it, but it's Boudreaux, Boudreaux. And they can message me through Instagram as well. If they want to come out and shoot, be more than willing to help anybody out that wants to come.
Yeah, they're good people, guys. Seriously, go meet my friends. I love them. I miss them. It's so good to see y'all every time. It's like a little reunion, but we got to squat up next time because I miss the shit talking.
I know. It's all part of it.
And then the group photos. I remember the group photo. You just see Kevin's.
Oh my gosh.
Why do you do that?
So, geez, I think the first match we ever shot together was like, I think it was in Dothan. Everything goes back to Dothan somehow. And I'm like, who is this? And you're like, we got to get a squad picture. And I'm like, I've never done this before. What are we doing? Squad picture. So we get the picture, and now you do it everywhere. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's far. I've never done one. I don't know that I've ever done one since, but maybe we did. Anyway, it's cool. You
just on the top of your head, you hid behind a target.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I probably still have that picture in my phone.
Oh, 100%. I was going to say, the one thing that people do know, though, if you want videos, content, pictures, or any posts, and you need them, squad with me, you'll be taken care of, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, man. Kevin, thanks for being on. Thanks for sharing all your tips and stuff. And I think you're just an awesome ambassador for the sport. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for letting me come on. I enjoyed it. Anytime.
Me too. So stay tuned for the next episode of the Reticle Up podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3 Gun Kenzie.